The 2025 Triumph Speed Twin 1200 has some massive changes. And then we've got this thing, the new 1200 RS. At a glance, it doesn't look like there are many differences, but when you delve into it, there's actually a lot.
Second one, did out a bit. Whee!
I would be tempted just to pay more for that orange color.
She's fair yanks out of corners.
On the longer highway stints, it is a bit bumpy. I didn't really love that. If you're a canyon carver, this is definitely the way to go. If you want a more everyday bike. G'day everyone, my name is Curtis and welcome to an On the Back Wheel video. By watching my channel, you're supporting an independent motorcycle reviewer who tells it like it is. So make sure you click that subscribe button and put a comment down below. All right, let's talk about these Triumph 1200s.
Changes to both models include a new narrower fuel tank, a shorter exhaust, the seat has been reshaped and it's also narrower. The engine has an extra 5 kilowatt, there is different suspension and brakes, changes to the riding position and the addition of an IMU. This adds lean sensitive ABS and traction control. Also, the dash has been changed to a single unit with modern connectivity.
Each bike actually differentiates from the last Speed Twin a lot. We'll start with the base model first. The forks have been changed to Marzocchi's and so has the rear shocks. They are non-adjustable except for the rear shock, which is adjustable for preload. Then we have the brakes. They've actually changed from Brembo M50s to Triumph branded brakes. We'll talk on that later. Now we have 2 riding modes instead of 3. The master cylinder has also changed. And some of the biggest differences on this bike is in the riding position. On this, the bars are wider, they're higher and closer to the rider. Also, the rear pegs, they changed them too, so they're in a much more comfortable riding position. Then we get over to the new one, the RS. Look, at a glance, you're probably thinking, oh, it's just got some Öhlins on it, some Brembos. There's actually a lot of differences, some of them very subtle, but when you ride the bike, it's massively different. They are completely different motorcycles to ride in a lot of ways. First up, we got Marzocchi forks on this one, but they are fully adjustable. On the rear, we have the Öhlins shocks, which are also fully adjustable. Then we got the Brembo stylemas. Oh man, they are awesome. We'll talk about them later. The master cylinder is also the MCS master cylinder from Brembo. The piston size on that is adjustable. The riding position, the bars are much lower and further down than the standard model, let alone from the new base model. Then we've also got the foot pegs. They are further back and higher up. I was skeptical at first that Triumph were releasing 2 different models of the Speed Twin, but it's great that they differentiated so much between the pair. We'll start by talking about the motor. This year, they've upped the power by 5 kilowatts, and all that power is actually at the top. The rest of the rev range is completely the same. And I have to say, guys, it is absolutely fantastic. I love the motor on this bike. It's torquey, yet it revs out. In corners, you can hit the high RPMs and stretch it out a bit more, and man, it yanks out of corners. One of the great things is, if you want to just lug it, it'll cruise, it doesn't shudder. The fueling is fantastic in all modes, sport, road, rain, I don't really bother with. I did try it out of curiosity, it's very soft, but road and sport are absolutely fantastic. I love the motor. The gearbox, it's good, no complaints at all. The RS, we'll go to this beautiful orange one here. It's got the up and down quick shifter now. Look, it's perfect on downshifts. I didn't like it so much on upshifts unless you're riding really aggressively. It's pretty good, but not amazing.
She fair yanks out of corners when you want it to. We'll twist it on here. Not bad, not bad. Perfect amount of power for the road. Sounds pretty good. A little bit muted in the lower gears, but geez,
It's got a bit about it. Overall, I like the suspension on both bikes, and we'll talk about how they differentiate. Let's start with the new RS. It's very sporty, it's firm. Now Triumph haven't confirmed it, but I believe the front springs have a harder spring rate in them. I really like how it's set up for cornering. When you're doing tight twisties, it feels fantastic. On the longer highway stints, it is a bit bumpy. I didn't really love that. The standard suspension is actually fine. I found it much better than I thought I would. It does lose a bit of control when you're in the twisties and pushing hard, but if you dial it back a little bit, it's fantastic and it's very comfortable through town and on the highways. The handling is a really interesting one because these bikes are just so different. As I mentioned earlier, at a first glance, they don't look much different, but to ride, they are so different. The base model is a very neutral position. It's that modern classic. It's comfortable. You could ride this thing anywhere and it's very comfortable. Good in the twisties, good on the street. Then you jump on the RS. As soon as you get on the bike, it's a much sportier riding position. The suspension feels much firmer. It's much more controlled and the bars are lower. Then when you actually ride the bike, you're like, oh, this is nearly a sports bike riding position. I like how different they are and they ride vastly different. This bike in the corners, the rear feels much more planted and it tips in sharper. It actually has a steeper rake and trail on this due to the different Öhlins shocks. They have more suspension travel and it brings the bike up a little bit. And also the seat height is slightly different too, and you notice it. That seat height combined with the lower bars and then the firmer springs in the front, it's a much more sporty riding position. I love the look of the bikes. I think they are all fantastic, especially this orange. I would be tempted just to pay more for that orange color. I absolutely love it. I like the motor. It's an absolute pearler, guys. It's got a lot of character. It sounds great, a little bit muted, but a set of pipes will fix that. And it goes very hard. I think it's a near perfect street bike motor. I like the tire choices on both bikes. On the base model, we got the M9 RRs from Metzler. They are a fantastic tire, guys. You can ride these on the street, yet they're pretty good in wet weather conditions. They're a great all-rounder. Then on the RS, we got the Metzler Racetech RRs. Now, look, these are basically a track tire, so I'd be happy with the M9 RRs if they were on the RS. But look, they're a fantastic tire. They feel great and you can push hard on them.
The addition of the IMU is significant. Not only are there the added safety benefits, it really affects performance in a good way. When you twist the throttle on when you are banked over, the traction control doesn't get in the way at all. The same for braking. Even on hard cornering, when you tip it in, it stays right in the background. I've got to mention the Brembo style lemurs and the Trick Master Cylinder. Absolutely awesome. You only need to use 1 or 2 fingers and you pull up so quick. If you yank them on, they dead set pull the eyeballs out of your head. Fantastic.
I think Triumph should have put these forks on that bike in a softer version, and they should have put Öhlins on this. Look, it might have blown out the price a little bit, but I think it would have matched the rear shocks really well. These forks, they're just a little bit busy. I haven't had a chance to change the clickers too much. I might be able to get them closer, but look, I think there's not quite enough control there. They feel good when the roads are smooth, but when things get bumpy, they're a bit rough. And then that takes me to this suspension. It's very good suspension when you're cruising, but I think it just could use a little bit more compliance. And Triumph have changed to a single dial dash. This has been a bit controversial. I've seen people complaining about it. Look, this dash has a lot of information. It works well. I do find it's a little bit hard to read in direct sunlight and there's a bit of glare. Personal preference, it doesn't worry me if it's got twin dashes or twin dials or this. Ideally, I would like something a bit more upmarket. I know that sounds a bit snobby, but this is the same dash that's on the Triumph Trident, and that's a what, $14,000 motorcycle, and this is a $20,000 motorcycle. It's a nitpick, but maybe they put something a bit more upmarket on this bike.
On the RS model, I wanted to stretch my legs and butt after a while, but on the standard, I think a bigger fuel tank would be appreciated. It's a comfortable and versatile bike, but touring is certainly limited by the small tank size. The base model is undoubtedly a good bike. It is annoying that they've cut sport mode out and ditched the Brembo M50s, but the price has gone up. Speaking of price, I know it's hard to keep them down, but I think the base model should have adjustable suspension for what they are charging. Comparing it to the retro Kawasaki Z900 RS, the Z900 undercuts it by $3,500, but has similar specs and adjustable suspension. Then there's the Z900 RS SE as well. If you did want to go for the retro style, the new Honda CB1000 Hornet has pretty well the same specs as the 1200 RS, but is over $7,000 cheaper and has an extra 50 horsepower. Overall, I do think these are very good motorcycles and unique in that they are retro, but still offer exciting performance. The fit and finish is fantastic. They are gorgeous. There's a heap of accessories and they perform. There are some things that hold me back from giving them a must-buy rating, but they are certainly worth a look. I'd be very happy with a base model to cruise to and from work on and send through the corners every now and again. And probably the most telling thing is, at the end of the bike launch, I didn't want to stop. I just wanted to keep riding.
All right, if you haven't, please click that subscribe button, check out my other content, and keep it on the back wheel. Catches.